Hi, it's Frank the pilot. What's going on in that cockpit before takeoff? You may be able to just jump in a car and go for a drive, but it's very different if you want to go fly a jet airplane. So that you feel comfortable and safe, I will tell you what the captain is doing before takeoff. He's doing loads of preparation, checklists, and briefings. The preparation before the flight includes an exterior safety check, a cockpit inspection, flight deck preparation, call that a pre-flight, loads and verifies the FMS, call that a route check, and then sets up the nav aids and radios and confirms that they're set up correctly for departure. He conducts various briefings and executes checklists, which requires a challenge and response between the captain and the first officer. The briefings includes a security brief, a passenger and jump seat brief, a weather and performance brief, an FOM brief. We call that a company brief. Every airline has their own company-specific procedures. Then there's the takeoff departure brief, the taxi brief, and the CRM brief, the crew resource management brief. There are various checklists, like I said, that requires a challenge response between the captain and the first officer. And those checklists are the before start checklist and after start checklist, the before takeoff checklist and after takeoff checklist, the climb checklist and the level off checklist. Then there's the in-range checklist, the approach and before landing checklist, the after landing checklist, and finally, the shutdown checklist. So here's an example of a full brief that I would give my first officer before we start the engines. Hi, Super Joe Doll, first officer. I'm Frank J. Donner, your captain. Do you have your pilot's license, your medical certificate, your passport and visas with you? Are you a flight deck duty officer? If he is a flight deck officer, I will tell him, your job is to protect the cockpit from enemy threats. Try not to shoot a hole in the fuselage, and I will continue to command the aircraft. Then I'll tell him ensure that the passengers in jump seats receive a full briefing before takeoff. Let's discuss the departure clearance and perform a route check. We are flight 1409er, aircraft 1702, cleared XYZ route on the Space SID, and we use transponder code 1404. The winds are 050 at 20 knots, gusting to 30. With the half a mile visibility, 900 feet ceiling overcast, and blowing snow. The temperature is 8 degrees and the dew point is 4 degrees Celsius. We will take off with the flaps slats at 15.0 with the anti-ice on and max power. Many a times we use derated power to extend the life expectancy of the engines. But today, because of the snow and the de-ice, we're going with max power. We'll need to spray the aircraft with de-ice and anti-ice fluid before takeoff and be vigilant of wind shear conditions. I will operate using standard company procedures and I will fly this leg. We will take off on runway 36 right. We will taxi via Bravo and Delta to the de-ice pad and then take Foxtrot and Alpha 36 right. While on Foxtrot, be aware of working the construction on Foxtrot taxiway. We have a generator inop MEL and 2 static wicks missing CDL. I have terrain selected on my side to avoid the mountains. You can select weather radar on your side to monitor the weather. We will use max power with a 30-second engine run-up before takeoff. And the start engine limitations and warm-up times are: I intend to engage the autopilot at 500 feet and use profile to fly the Space SID. The initial heading is 360 degrees to an altitude of 3,000 feet, and we're limited to a max climb speed of 230 knots till we get to 3,000 feet. Then we can go to 250 knots. I have the ramp and guard frequency selected here, the VOR selected here, the frequency selected here, and the altitude selected here. In the event there's an emergency and we have to do emergency return, I will fly runway heading to 2,000 feet, declare an emergency, avoid the mountains, and request to fly the ILS to 36 center for landing. We need a minimum weather of 1,000 RVR to shoot that 36 center approach. At the minimum, in an emergency, we want to get the landing gear down, do the emergency checklist, and come back and land. Safety and legality are mandatory. Our goal is to be reliable and efficient, but it's optional. Do you have any other threats of consideration you'd like to discuss? Do you have any other questions? Good. Let's execute good CRM and do it before start checklist and go fly. Lessons learned. Pilots do loads of preparation. Use checklists and give briefings before they fly jet airplanes. The next time you see your captain, thank him for exercising his highly skilled professional preparation to get you safely from departure to destination airport. I am so blessed that I was able to provide my professional pilot services to FedEx for over 30 years. Go to notwide.com and look at my other pilot videos, and also enjoy the day. If not, enjoy the night.